Beep, 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 beep. Live from Wellston, Georgia, it's another episode of the Wartown Times. I am just really excited to bring you my review of the Wartown Times episode 2. But before I do, let's check to see what the internet thought about the last episode before we form our own opinion. Said no content creator ever.
Warner Robins Mayor and Council disagree on whether to create a new Vietnam Veterans Memorial Board. Molly Jett breaks down what happened at City Hall Tuesday night and sat down with 2 Vietnam vets to get reaction to the discussion.
Tuesday night inside of City Hall,
Well, hello, Molly.
Mayor LaRhonda Patrick motioned to create 5 new boards, including a Vietnam Veterans Memorial Board. However, 4 councilmen motioned to table it. Vietnam veteran Tom McLendon is frustrated with the delay.
I know everything that has gone on in the last 14 years, and it's one roadblock after another.
McLendon says he worked on bringing a Vietnam veteran memorial to Houston County with former mayors Chuck Shaheen and Randy Toms, but he says there's been too much red tape.
We're right back to square root 1, and I don't know why it's such a problem. I don't think city council, I don't think they talk to one another.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they talk to one another. Just not about what you wanted to talk to one another about.
Friday, Councilmember Kevin Lashley wanted to be a part of the board, but Tuesday, Lashley motioned to table the plan, and Councilmember Keith Lauritsen agreed.
Because if I can't be on the board, nobody can be on the board.
Agreed.
To serve our country in war, in a foreign country, fight for your lives, and see your fellow soldiers die. How dare we tell them that they have no voice in this board coming to existence?
Bill Carey, also a Vietnam vet, says he about fell out of his chair when council put the plan on hold.
I spoke to the man the week before that brought it up. He said, we're going to do this. And then last night he voted against it. But before the night was over, they were all changing their song, and I'm thinking, well, that's another 2-week delay.
Both veterans say Patrick will get it done.
Her word is her bond, and we really think a lot of her. She wants to get, but she can't do it all by herself. She's got to have city council to help her.
Well, I don't really think she needs city council to help her. I just think she needs city council to stop helping themselves.
Over the phone, Mayor Patrick told me she was surprised and disappointed in council's decision of Tuesday night. She says she doesn't understand why they're being so vocal and not allowing local Vietnam veterans into the conversation. In Warner Robins, Molly Jett.
So that additional review of last week's Wartown Times was brought to you by 13WMAZ, Fair Use, and Molly Jett. Funny thing about Molly Jett is I bet every time she rolls up in her news van or what have you to the City Hall of Warner Robins and sees the big F-15 or F-16, whatever it is they have out front. I don't know. I really don't do weapons of war. What was war good for? Absolutely nothing. Unless you're a politician who has a vested interest in the military-industrial complex, but that's another story. But anyway, I bet when Molly rolls up and sees that big jet, she just gets a warm feeling in her heart and says, "This is my destiny." Jet. Anywho, as you can see in the news report, the veterans are clearly confused about why this has taken so long, or as the rest of Warner Robins is, right? It's like, why are certain city council members shifting back and forth on wanting to be on boards, not wanting to be on boards? It makes no sense. So I figured, since I was in town for the second episode of the Wartown Times, that I would go and watch the live recording myself and be in the room to get more than just under 2 minutes told to me by local news outlets. I want to know what the story is from my point of view, someone who lives in Wartown and is a big fan of this show, clearly. So let's jump into the action and see Madam Mayor do her thing.
Number 7, motion for Veterans Issues Board appointments. That is my motion. So our last council meeting, I know that I said motion, but I'm going to do it right. I would like to motion that the following individuals be appointed to the Veterans Issues Board. That is, and if you are out there when I state your name, please feel free to stand. That is Mr. Richard McKee, Mr. Bill Carey, Mr. Alan Smith, Willie Blackman, Robert Trice or Treese, Ernest Cooling, Tom McClendon, Ernie Munson, and H.C. Griffiths. And each individual will serve for a term of 2 years. I usually stagger, we're not staggering right now. So that is my motion.
I second that motion.
Okay, so this is well into the city council meeting, just so you're aware. Because all the stuff in the beginning was just a little, it was, everyone was being very polite. You could kind of tell that the tune of a lot of these city council members had changed after the last meeting. So this is well into it whenever Madam Mayor does as she said she was going to do, which is bring this right back in front of the council again until it passes. And of course, you hear, Curtis seconds the motion. Toot sweet. Way to go, Curtis. And so let's see how the rest of this motion plays out. And then I'll come back with some more snarky remarks. Because that's me, Mr. Snarky.
I second that motion.
A second by Councilman Curtis. Any discussion? All right, calling for the vote. All in favor, please state aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposers, the same. Motion carries.
Good. There you go. Madam Mayor puts the motion on the floor. Councilman Curtis seconds it, and it's unanimously voted for. What happened in between last meeting and this meeting? Who knows? But now everyone seems to think it's a good idea for veterans to have, I don't know, a little bit of a say-so in their own memorial. So, let's listen to some veterans take their oath of office epically.
Thank you, and welcome to the board.
So there you have it, a major victory by our protagonist, Madam Maya, as well as the protagonist in the veterans here. Because remember, they've been fighting for this for over a decade, and to see those guys swear in and swear their oath of office and an oath to, once again, the Constitution was a pretty sweet thing to see. And so it was like, wow, I was really getting into this show, and it seemed like that was the big climax of the first episode, and now we have resolution to it, so it's good storytelling so far, right? And so I was curious as to see, how the rest of this city council would go, and everything seemed to be going pretty smooth after this until, because there's always an until, a resolution came forward from Lawrenson for a budget transfer. And so let's jump into the action right there at this, and then we'll come back and break it down and see where the plot is going from there, because now we're talking about money, and you always follow the money.
Right, number 12, resolution, budget transfer to be discussed by Councilman Lawrenson.
Thank you. Yes, this resolution of the Mayor and Council of Warner Robins that a transfer of $450,000 be reversed, and these funds be placed back into the city's special revenue fund, designated to hold lodging for tax collections, designated for construction operation of visitor center, and this document can be found on our website. Basically, this is money that was encumbered in the acquisition of this building over here at one time that was going to be used as the City Welcome Center, and now that's no longer the plan, so these funds are being replaced back into the original account so that it can be used for its intended purpose. And that's my explanation. And I make a motion to approve.
So it starts off simple enough. We're talking about $450,000 being moved from one fund into the general fund, I think, about this, once again, Welcome Center. And if you notice, Lawrenson said something about the acquisition of this building over here for a Welcome Center, but that's no longer the plan. So just so that we all have context of the set and the setting here, I'm going to put up on the screen what he is talking about. So if you're looking right now, you should see this is City Hall. And this building over here that was once supposed to be a welcome center and information center, apparently where the funds in questions are being moved around is about this building right over here, right? And so that is something that I'm very curious about. It's like, okay, well, the building right next to City Hall, I guess some money was already spent. I mean, the building is there. It's there, and I guess at one point in time, there were plans to turn this building right next to City Hall into the Welcome Center and Information Center, which makes sense to me. I mean, you would want a Welcome Center and Information Center in downtown, probably next to, City Hall. So apparently that was the plan, but it's no longer the plan. And so what Lawrence is asking for is basically transfer $450,000 from one fund to another fund because I guess you know, the plans to continue with this one building as a welcome center and information center is no longer the case. And as I pointed out on the last one, I thought it was weird that it seems like there is some people who are on city council that want to marry a Vietnam Veterans Memorial, a state memorial, by the way, with a welcome center. And it's like, okay, in my mind, I mean, you guys, you're watching, you just let me know what you think in the comments below. Uh, why is this getting married? You know what I mean? This is the issue about a state Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We could worry about a welcome center and information center later, and it obviously seems like somebody in the past already did because there's a whole building to the right of the city hall that could have at one point, maybe possibly still, could be used for that. So I just don't understand why there's a marriage of the two. But anyway, let's keep going.
Being replaced back into the original account so that it can be used for its intended purpose. And that's my explanation. And I'm
And for you astute viewers like me, you could see the flash of the watch, and then the hand towards the microphone from character Lashley as he prepares to speak.
make a motion to approve this resolution. And I second it.
All right, motion by Councilman Lawrence, second by Councilman Mack. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I need to stay relevant. Can you let me stay relevant for just a little bit longer?
Be a question, I think, for Attorney Mize. If the site was deemed infeasible, would that not require a vote by mayor and council?
I'll have to research that
Okay.
question.
All right. The other thing is, as I said in our pre-council, I believe we do need to conduct a forensic audit of all of the funds that are directed towards that 2012 SPLOST that goes for the Visitor Center and Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
So I gather what he's saying is he wants to do a forensic audit because forensic sounds edgy. Anyway, the Bible says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. You could tell a lot about the intents of somebody's heart if you pay attention to how they speak casually, or when they're not really thinking about it. But it's like, I just take notice that every time this entire project comes up, Character Lashley always seems to put the Welcome Center or Visitor Center or whatever in front of the state Vietnam Veterans Memorials. Like, that's the afterthought for him, just based off of how his mind allows the words to roll out of his tongue. Is it just me or you? Or...
This is definitely a large chunk of that money right here. Just to see exactly where all of the money for both projects in conjunction with each other has been spent, I would like to see that placed on the agenda as soon as possible, if not carried for a vote right now. Would it be possible to make a motion for that?
God bless our city attorney. I do want to do like a thing about her because I really like her character a lot, and just God bless her, because like if I were in her position and I had to hear city council members asking, is it possible to make a motion? Like, it's like, I'm in her head, she's probably, have any of you people read Robert's Rules of Order? Council people? God bless you, city attorney Mize. Anywho, is it possible? We're gonna find out.
For you to make a motion, I think
Yeah.
we need to modify the motion to amend the agenda, but before that motion is made, we need to act on the motion that's currently on the floor, which I believe we have a motion and a second, so the mayor will call for the vote, and then we have an opportunity, I think, the mayor allow as a moderator to make the motion.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
So you see what I mean? Like what she has to go through. She's like, okay, boys and girls, this is how you play government. So you can do this, and then this has to happen. Just, I can only imagine what's going on in her head. And I would love to be a fly on the wall when she goes home from work, and I would just love to hear like the things that she actually thinks about these people and their competency to actually be in city government or play school government or any kind of government. I don't know. So she's trying to properly assist character Lashley on how to do a forensic audit of everything at this point. So
No. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please state aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposers, the same. Motion carries. Councilman Lashley, I believe you wanted to speak.
Yes. I would like to make a motion that we do immediately or as soon as possible seek out a firm to give us a price for a quote for doing a full forensic audit on this entire project from its beginning stages to where we currently are. So we know exactly where all the money has been spent, what's going on with it, why were funds transferred around from different accounts, and where we stand going into the project so we know exactly what we have.
And if I may, just to be clear for the record, are you making a motion to amend the agenda to include a motion to have the mayor and council engage a forensic auditor regarding funds for the Visitors Information Center?
Yes.
she's like, this poor woman. She should get a. I move that she gets a raise for having to put up with this crap because she's like, okay, so you realize that you made a motion that you could have worded it the way you wanted to word it in the motion. So now you want to amend the motion that you. Ah, I'm praying for you, City Attorney Mize, but you're doing a great job, and keep it up. Just don't go postal. But if you do, hit me up first so I can be there with cameras because that would be great. That's a joke. Don't do that. Don't don't go postal.
I have a question quickly. Just the Visitor Information Center or the 2012 SPLOST?
It was for both projects altogether. Now, not the entire 2012 SPLOST at this point, but I would like to see everything that has to do with the Visitor Center and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial looked into.
So with that being said, is there a particular account that you want the forensic audit, where this money was supposed to be placed? Because from my understanding, was this a part of our Parks and Recreations initially, where this money was at? Is that where the forensic audit, should that be where it starts? Because from my understanding, even this memorial was part of Parks and Recreation, from my understanding.
It seems to have traveled around through different departments for a while. I think ultimately the control is supposed to go to Parks and Recreation. I know Building and Transportation will have a say in it because they are in charge of building and transportation. So,
Excuse me, gentlemen, I'm sorry to cut you off. But I was reminded that there was a motion,
yeah.
and we need to have a second, and then we can go to discussion
Okay.
if there's a second on the floor. Is there a second on the floor?
I second that.
All right, motion by Councilman Lashley, second by Councilman Bibb. And now, please continue the discussion.
So you have Mac, and he's doing a great job too because he's like, what exactly is it that you're trying to do a forensic audit on? Like, do you know? And then, it kind of gets out of hand, and Madam Mayor has to be like, oh, whoa, there's a motion, and of course then you have Bibb. I don't know, maybe they go to the same church, who knows? But he seconds Lashley's stuff before they even are clear on what it is they're moving for or seconding or whatever. But in a moment, I think someone else in City Hall who deals with finances and all this, it was funny because she has this perplexed look on her face the entire time if you were in the audience. And even when she walks up, and she does make a point later, which I'll go ahead and accent first, is that like forensic is implying that there is some criminal activity taking place, right? So, but ultimately what this kind of looks like to me is it's like we just saw massive movement towards developing a state Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Warner Robins. We just saw it massively push forward in the city council meeting right here. And then character Lashley and then I guess Bibb, it's like they want to stall it. Whoa, slow it down. We got to slow this process down. We need a forensic audit of all the money of the visitor center and then the memorial. I got an idea. If we're starting from scratch anyway, how about we just completely divorce the idea of a welcome center and a visitor center. Because to me, it's like that seems to be the anchor on the ship. But that's just me coming into this season with no backstory whatsoever. But it's like I'm looking at it and I'm seeing what's dragging the Vietnam veterans, the State Vietnam Veteran Memorial, and it seems to be this frickin' welcome center that nobody really cares about, except possibly for whoever might get the contract to build it. But that's speculation on my part. We'll see how where the story goes.
So I think it would be important to identify which account we're going to actually place the forensic audit on. And just say, we're going to have a forensic audit. What are we actually auditing? What's the account? Where did it start? Where did it end? We need to identify that before,
I
right?
think that's what the investigation would be. They would start, I mean, honestly, the parameters would be involved within the project itself.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I believe the Assistant Director of Finance, Ms. Holly Gross, is here, and I think some of these questions could just be answered off the cuff because she does have that knowledge, so that might help clarify your discussions.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
So if I can invite Ms. Holly Russell, please.
Okay, so it's official. I am now City Attorney Mize's biggest fanboy because that was brilliant what she just did. And what she just did is she's like trying to block the point from character Lashley spending more of our money on a forensic audit that he doesn't even clearly understand what it is he's wanting to audit. She's like, "Hey, just so you know, before we do, we spend more of the people's money on some audit, we actually have somebody on staff right here that can answer all of these questions for you and everyone else. Let's let her come up here and answer those questions before you stick it to the taxpayers again needlessly." But that's government. And so a lot more does unfold in this city council meeting, and I do want to bring it to you. However, I have to cut it off short here because I know people's attention spans are very short now in our age, and I don't want people to lose sight of actually what we're trying to accomplish right here with this season, which is to get a state Vietnam Veterans Memorial built, first and foremost. So I want to leave you there with that, and in anticipation for the next one, where we will hopefully get answers that won't require a forensic audit that we have to pay for here. So until next time, get involved, get engaged, and stay well, because me and Tiny Link, we're on the road. We're heading up north away from all of this uncivilized rabble rousers. Peace.